Today I am taking the chapter The Summer of the Beautiful White Horse for class 11th, and the first part of the story we have studied that the story is about the two Armenian boys, Aram and Murad, and we have also discussed they belong to the Armenian tribe, the Garaglanian family. They were known for their honesty and sincerity, though very poor. We have also studied about how Murad invited Aram for a horse riding, and Aram was very much stunned to see the horse before him, and he had many questions in mind from where Murad must have fetched the horse, and both of them went on a horse riding. We have all discussed in the previous YouTube video. Then we have also discussed in the previous one that the Uncle Khosrow is one of the character in the family, and he was little bit nosy and whimsical also, and he is very straightforward. He doesn't thinks before he utters some words. He speaks sorry, whatever comes to his mind he speaks, and his patent dialogue is, "It's no harm, pay no attention to it." We have also studied about both of them rode together. Murad wanted to ride alone, and it was a morning time. When they started, it was 4 a.m. It was the dawn time. They were scared where to hide the horse, because if it would the fact would have been known to anyone, then their dignity would have been at stake, because all must be knowing that they are the ones who can steal something, and their prestige and position would come down. They were scared of this. So let us continue with it was a morning time. We have completed this. Now the story takes a turn that one day John Byro, who was an Assyrian, he came to Uncle Khosrow one afternoon, and he had lost his horse for the last 2 months. He was very much worried. So when he went to Uncle Khosrow, he became irritated, and when he complained about it, he repeated his dialogue, saying that it's no harm, what is the loss of a horse. Then John Byro wanted to explain him that he had to pay $60 for such a horse, and he also told that he had to walk 10 miles to go there. So when the uncle heard all this, he said that he passed a comment which was not very pleasing for the farmer, and Uncle Khosrow again repeated his dialogue, saying that it's no harm, pay no attention to it. Then the narrator told Murad of John Byro's visit, and then he also wanted Murad that he should return the horse, but he said that the horse should be returned only when he has learned to ride. But Murad insisted that they should return back the horse. He couldn't keep the horse for a long, and they had to return. So and every morning when the narrator rode alone, the horse threw him down and ran away. One day, what happened by chance, both of them came across John Byro. He was on his way to the town, and the farmer asked the horse, his farmer studied the horse eagerly. He asked the name of the horse, and Murad replied that the name of the horse was My Heart. And Byro saw that it was the same horse that was stolen from him many weeks ago. Then he noticed the teeth of the horse, and he was self-assured that it was his horse. Firstly, he thought that it must be the twin of his horse, but At last, on minutely examining the horse, the teeth, the hair, the structure, he was confirmed that it was his horse. Then, early in the morning, they took the horse to John Byro's vineyard and they put it in the barn. Murad put his arms round the horse, patted it, and then they went away. Then that afternoon, Byro came to their house, that is Murad's house. He showed the narrator's mother the horse that had been stolen had returned. Then Uncle Khosrow, when he listened all this, again he shouted to keep quiet. He said that the horse had been returned and again they should pay no attention to it. So here the children, the story, the summer of a beautiful white horse ends. Now let me tell you something about the lesson. That the story is the story reveals that natural urge of children for fun and adventure, and people who are poor, their natural instinct never die. Here also we see that Aram and Murad, they were very poor, but they had the instinct to enjoy, natural urge to enjoy what they were fond of, and both of them were very fond of horse riding. Then this story is a breathtaking adventure, and William Saroyan weaves a simple story into an interesting tale. The description is lucid and simple, the pace is relaxed but natural, and the story keeps the readers engaged till the end. I hope you have understood what I want to say. It's a very good story. Thank you, children, for patient listening. Hello, students. Good morning. Today, I am going to take the chapter from our supplementary reader, that is Snapshots, and the very first lesson of the chapter, the name of the chapter is The Summer of a Beautiful White Horse. Children, as all of you know, that most of you have your hobbies. Some have the hobby of photography, some have the hobby of book reading, gardening, some have the hobby of listening to the music or singing, some have the hobby of swimming. Here, when we go through the chapter, we find that these the two boys, the character depicted in the lesson, that is Aram and Murad, they were very crazy of horse riding, and actually they are the two cousins. They belong to the Armenian tribe, and they were very poor, but they were famous for honesty and integrity. A horse was stolen by Murad for riding, and Murad invites Aram to have a horse riding. It was a early morning time at 4 o'clock, and because they had done a little bit wrong act, therefore Murad again and again in his mind, in his conscience, tries to make himself understand that he has not stolen the horse. He has only taken the horse for a pleasure ride, and after the pleasure ride they would return the horse to the owner. So, because this Garolanian tribe, that is the Armenian tribe, they were famous for honesty, they were famous for sincerity, being poor, because this is something very paradox. A person who is poor is always suspected of stealing, thinking that he lacks many things in his life and he may steal something. So here the story starts with the about the two Armenian boys, and that is Aram and Murad. They belong to the tribe which was famous for honesty and integrity. Murad stole a beautiful white horse for riding, and they didn't steal the horse for money but only for riding. But finally, what happened? They suffered the pains, pangs of conscience. It was that they had done something morally wrong. They returned the horse, and what happened after that? They returned the horse to the rightful owner. Let me tell you, if we take anybody's things without their permission, it is a sort of stealing only. Until and unless we return, but till we have taken without permission, it is a sort of stealing. So, I will just start with the summary of the story. This chapter is by William Saroyan. The story is about the two boys. They belong to the same tribe, and the tribe was famous for trust and honesty. Aram was a 9-year-old boy, and Murad was a bit elder, 11 years old near about. The world was like a delightful, mysterious dream for him. His cousin Murad was considered crazy by everybody except him. He respected he respected and valued Murad's friendship. Aram respected the friendship of Murad. Now the story, if you go through the chapter, the first page, the story starts with the time is 4 o'clock in the morning. Murad taps the house of Aram saying that if he wished to ride, he should come out of the bed and they would have a pleasure ride. This is how the story starts. So Murad tapped on the window of the narrator's room. The narrator jumped out of the bed and looked out. He couldn't believe what he saw. His cousin was sitting on a beautiful white horse. The narrator rubbed his eyes in disbelief. Murad asked him to be quick if he wanted to ride. The narrator passionately longed to ride, but they were poor. They couldn't buy a horse. Their whole tribe was poverty-stricken. All members of the Garolanian family were poor. They were living in the most amazing and comical poverty in the world, but they were famous for their honesty. For the last 11 centuries, they had never compromised with their honesty. They were rather proud of their honesty. It was certain that Murad couldn't have bought the horse if he couldn't have bought it. He must have stolen it. The narrator refused to believe that Murad had stolen it. No member of the Garolanian family could be a thief. Murad had come to invite the narrator to ride. The narrator convinced himself stealing a horse for a ride was not the same thing as stealing anything else. After all, Murad was crazy about horses. He was not going to sell the horse, hence it was not stealing. Every family has a crazy streak in it somewhere. Uncle Khosrow was the true inheritor of that crazy streak. He was a big man with black hair and large mustache. He was very furious in temper. He was irritable and impatient. He silenced others by roaring. His pet words were, "It is no harm, pay no attention to it." Murad was considered to be the natural descendant of Uncle Khosrow. Both of them, they started riding, they sang, and Murad asked the narrator, that is Aram, to get down, and because he wanted to ride alone, and the narrator asked if Murad would let him ride alone. Murad replied that he could if the horse let him. The narrator got down. His cousin Murad kicked his heel into the horse and shouted, "Wazere, run." The horse burst into a fury of speed that pleased the narrator. Murad faced the horse across the field and returned 5 minutes later. Now the story takes a turn. The narrator realized that Murad had been taking those early morning rides for quite a long time, and he had come for him that morning. He knew that Aram also longed to ride. Murad took the horse quietly to the barn of a deserted vineyard. Then they walked home. Thus they could hide the horse. Murad had quite a deep understanding of the horses. Horses understood him and he had a way with them. Now that story takes a turn. So far we have studied that how Murad both of them had a pleasure ride and they returned back the horse in the evening to the vineyard. And now the story will take a turn when the uncle comes to know about the stolen horse. The white horse was stolen. Uncle Khosrow, he comes to know that a farmer had lost his horse. So the next part, how the farmer complained about his lost horse, and what was John Byros, who was the uncle of Murad and Aram, what was his reaction? So we will discuss in the next video. Thank you, children. I hope you will go through this video. It will benefit you, and if you have any problem, you can always ask the question. Thank you.